my name is Rebecca Shepard. I'm a tax attorney here at Frost Law, and I'm here with my colleague Peter Huckabo, and we are here to talk about the Employee Retention Credit and the press releases that the IRS issued on September 14th to discuss the program. Now, there's three main takeaways from these press releases. One is a moratorium on claims that are just filed or about to be filed. There is a warning against aggressive marketing companies, and they use the word mills for the Employee Retention Credit. And then finally, this settlement or withdrawal program that the IRS is planning on rolling out in a little bit. So first, this moratorium. What is the IRS doing? Essentially, as of September 15th, 2023, they are pausing the processing of claims until January 1st of 2024 while they put some guardrails up for the bad actors that are in this space. And, you know, we agree with the IRS. There are a lot of bad actors in this space, and tamping down the fraud is very important. Do we think that it should be done through a moratorium? Probably not. But we understand the inclination to put up some safeguards so that way bad claims are not processed and business owners won't be victims.
And so I think what's going to happen is the government's going to pivot, and as they eventually start to process some of these newer claims or even go back and process the ones that are in the pipeline now, approximately 600,000, they're going to be looking at the eligibility requirements before issuing refunds. So that's a little bit different than what they've done during the existing program where they've paid these refunds. Now, keep in mind, this is like a 5-page tax return with very little information filled in. So the government doesn't really understand the theory of the case or why you think this works. And so what we would anticipate is that they come back behind before issuing checks to say, show us your eligibility, explain to us why you think this works. The information released about the bad actors, yes, we agree that there are certainly some bad actors in this space. This program is set up in a way that it is really easy to do incorrectly and really hard to do correctly. And so the IRS does counsel us in this that, look, this is a complex claim. ERC is complex. There are very specific requirements, and reminding folks to make sure that they are working through these things with a preparer to make sure that eligibility makes sense. This is not easy stuff. It's not a situation where you click a couple of yes or no buttons on a website and voila, you're eligible. This is an ongoing conversation with the tax professional to understand eligibility, to understand the position that you're taking on a tax return.
So the government comes out and gives us a few specific warnings, things to look out for. So number one, your preparer not signing the tax return. So this is rule one for everyone. For any tax return that you file, make sure your preparer signs that return, because otherwise you're on the hook for penalties and that preparer is not. That is a huge problem. Issue number two is saying that it's super easy, everyone can be eligible, and everyone deserves this credit. That's not the case at all. That's what we've been saying this whole time. Peter and I have been doing this, spending thousands of hours trying to work through this. We're tax attorneys with each 12 years of experience trying to work through these problems, and we disagree sometimes and have to work through a problem. It is not simple. It is not something that you can just check through. Documents have to be reviewed, interviews have to take place, and only at that point can you make a determination in your best effort that this employer is going to be eligible. Other things to be aware of is over-the-top, marketing claims where people are sending you letters that look like they're from the IRS or look like they're from your bank, and saying that you're eligible for a certain amount of money when you've never spoken to these people before and they don't have your records. That's a big concern.
The Department of Employee Retention is not real.
That is correct. And the IRS actually talks about that in their release. So the other thing to think about is whether or not your preparer is giving you the right information to show that you're eligible. So When we prepare a claim, we make sure that the person knows their eligibility dates from the beginning to the end and exactly the theory of eligibility. So March 16th, 2020 through January 3rd, 2021 is because this government restriction had more than a nominal effect on the business's operations. In addition, we will include those government orders. Make sure you review those government orders and ascertain they're actual government orders, not from a foreign government, not a suggestion on how the business should act, but an actual requirement on its operations. Make sure you get work papers that shows exactly how this credit is calculated. Make sure you can see where your PPP loan is taken into account in that work paper. All of this is very important and able to file a proper ERC claim. If you feel like this is not what's been done for you, then this is a problem and you should actually look back and review your claims and go to your company and ask for these items before the IRS comes to you and before you kind of make a decision about whether or not your claim is proper.
Keep in mind that Congress got together and passed 4 pieces of legislation about this. Now, the companies out there that are saying that this is risk-free is not true. Frankly, the program rules leave a lot to be desired. Now, the government has come back behind and added some additional checklist items to help to clarify some points. They've come out with a generic legal advice memoranda related to supply chain claims because that in particular was an area of abuse that they've identified. Ultimately, our analysis on these documents and what has come out is that we as a firm feel good about where we've been at doing this stuff, requiring what we have of our clients and working through these messy issues. This stuff is difficult. And just keep that in mind and make sure that you are working with someone who is a tax professional, has experience and background in working through these tough issues, and is doing more than just pushing paper. It is showing you the language that you are relying on in making this claim to show you, per employee per quarter exactly what you're considering to be a qualified wage for ERC, a payroll cost for PPP, what are the health plan expenses that have gone into this analysis. This is where this stuff gets incredibly challenging and where there's real value to be added by a true tax professional working through this tough stuff.
And then, Peter, the third item that the IRS talks about, this settlement program, what does that mean?
Stay tuned.
We don't know.
We don't know. I mean, several times in these documents they talk about additional information forthcoming in the fall. It appears that there will be a couple of components to it. One would be in a scenario where someone has previously filed and received the refunds. There may be a way coming soon for them to turn the funds back in, potentially penalty-free, although that's not necessarily clear in what's been released. There also appears to be some way to stop a pending claim, so something that has been filed but not processed. The government calls it withdrawal. So we don't really know what that looks like yet. Stay tuned. Sometime this fall, we hope to hear some more from them.